Good morning and welcome to the trade setup right here on BloombergQuint Live. It's Monday morning and it's a full week of trade, but doesn't seem like it's going to be a very pretty week. Let me quickly tell you why do I think so. So, firstly, the virus tracker, and that's the principal reason. I know a lot of people may say that the fact that we are amidst COVID virus is well known, but I think the global infection curve continues to rise. We're not just seeing this in India, by the way, across Europe. We are now seeing cases spike and spike quite considerably. UK reintroduced some social distancing norms. Spain and France, the last headline that I read on Thursday was that their cases are now surging to records. India continues to have 92,000 cases. I know a lot of people will argue that the recoveries are 94,000 as of the last count, but we're seeing new cases, and that's a fact to the already high number of cases that we already have. So there is an issue at hand, and I don't think we can brush it away, because at some point of time it will have an impact, extended impact on the economic growth, and thereby maybe on earnings growth as well. So bear that in mind. Well, what happened to US in Friday's session? I think there was a bit of a tech sell-off, nothing too dramatic, but tech did come off quite rapidly as well. And as a result of it, while we may all speak about how the global markets are looking okay, this was Wall Street's third straight weekly loss. So there is a bit of nervousness that is creeping in. We are closer to the US election date as well, November 3rd. And therefore, all of this should have a bearing on the market's risk appetite. Asia today starting off not sulking, but yeah, I mean, you probably use the term somber. It's maybe not as dire as being somber as well. It's very, very quiet with a negative bias kind of a start that we have for the rest of the Asian screen, as well as for India too. The SGX Nifty indicates a start which is marginally in the red. And again, the Indian markets have failed to break past that 11,550 to 11,650 level. I'm not a technical expert, viewers, but I somehow see that the Indian markets fail to cross that level. Now, what will happen this week? It's an interesting week simply because of two factors. One, that if you just look at the trade setup for the globe, I think flash PMI numbers for a bunch of countries come out, and therefore that PMI release will dominate the global economic agenda. And the dollar index strength is likely to temper optimism this week. If you just look at what Eurozone is going through in terms of cases versus what US is doing, US is showing signs of recovery, Eurozone is not, and therefore this whole strength that the euro had vis-a-vis the dollar might just unravel a bit. And therefore, if the dollar index continues to rise, remember, US dollar index is essentially a basket of 24 odd currencies, 19 of which are European countries. And therefore, euro versus the dollar is the predominant determinant of what the dollar index does. And the dollar index movement upwards or downwards is a bit of an indicator of what would happen to risk assets. So I think dollar index could strengthen. I mean, what do you mean? I think I've read a lot of reports which said that dollar index could strengthen. So let's wait and watch. I'm not a currency expert, but I just try to look at different facets and try and understand what could happen to equity markets. Indian markets will gyrate to global moves and the Indo-China developments, as simple as that. It's also a very important week from an IPO perspective because a bunch of primary market activity happening. Today we'll have the Root Mobile listing. So therefore, it is an important one. Mind you, after Happiest Minds, we need Root Mobile to do well, and from the looks of it, it will. CAM's IPO opens today, and Chembon Specialty Chemicals IPO opens today. You will hear both the conversations. CAM's we've already spoken to, but we'll repost it today. Chemcon Specialty Chemicals, the IPO opens today, so do watch out for that. Angel Broking IPO opens tomorrow. So it's a bunch of primary market activity that we'll see. CAM seems the standout winner from the looks of it. Let's wait and watch how this one does. In terms of stocks to watch, not too much heavy duty action, I must say. Okay, we're going ahead with the deals first. So SLPropack, promoter Epsilon Bitco sold about 7.26 crore shares. Look at the list of buyers. Axis MF has locked in 3%, 3.17% stake. Birla Sun Life has locked in about 58.52 or 1.86% stake. IDFC MF, Nomura, Franklin Templeton are the other buyers which have decided to log in to SLPropack. So interesting, the promoter has sold as they had said promoter entity that is. But the list of buyers is interesting. The selling got absorbed. Can the stock gain? Let's wait and watch. Valiant Organics, it's a company that was an SME company which got listed under the exchanges as a full board, main board company just in September. And now the promoter sold some shares and funds have acquired, which is interesting though. About 2.5% stake for Nippon India, about 1% stake for Goldman Sachs. So it's an interesting one. Remember, it's a small equity company, about 1 crore shares outstanding, and therefore a crore and a quarter. It'll be interesting to see why the funds got into it and what could the numbers look like going ahead. It's an expensive stock, viewers. Please don't buy it just because these funds have bought it. Do your research. It's an Aarti Group company, so the promoter parentage is good. But please do your research before you go out and buy into it. The other stocks in focus, I think a couple of them, REITs. The board has approved a share buyback, small one, 3.88% at a buyback price of 265. So just about near the closing price, maybe a small discount, if you will, or a small higher, but it's in or around the closing market price in Friday's session. So keep that in mind. And PNB, I think it's a small piece of news. PNB had some 41% stake in this JSC Tengri Bank, wherein the Kazakhstan financial regulator has revoked the license. Can PNB have a small negative downtick? Sure, it could. Anything can move this stock, right? So you never know. So do watch out for this one. And then there are a couple of others, right? Look out for the steel stocks. Macquarie's initiated a note and they are saying that they like JSPL, Hindalco, and Tata Steel. They see at least a 25% upside in all three of them. So maybe those stocks could be active. HCL Tech has done a small acquisition. Maybe that is active. But by and large, seems to be a tempered day. Nothing too dramatic. Do watch out, as I said, for some of the steel names. And it'll be interesting to see if the pharma names continue their upticks in Friday's session. It was a big pharma day. Let's wait and watch if that activity continues. Have a profitable day, viewers, but keep in mind, be careful. A lot of economic activity lined up for this week. And as we move closer to the US elections, the global volatility and maybe the quietness of the global markets might both start at the same time. So markets will not make too much moves, but when they make a move, they could be very sharp moves as well. So just be mindful of that. For this week, PMI increases, PMI releases, and the dollar index should be top of mind of everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in today.